Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us today. We are Aisha Kaisar, Anila Didar, Aiba Iftikhar, and Alishba Harun, and we are thrilled to have the opportunity to present New Zealand banks introduce new measures to prevent scams to you. We believe that this presentation will provide valuable insights and spark meaningful discussions. Today, I'll talk about scams and why having financial security matters. Scams are sneaky tricks that bad people use to steal your money or personal information. They are a big problem for a few reasons, like scams make you lose your hard-earned cash. They make us doubt honest companies and services. Scams can make you really sad and worried. Scams waste money that could be used for good things, which means they hurt the economy. Now let's talk about why being financially secure is so important. Financial security means having enough money saved up to handle surprises like scams or tough times. It's super important because it helps you feel calm and less stressed. You can follow your dreams without money worries. You can give your loved ones a happy, safe life. When we are all financially secure, our towns and countries are stronger too, which creates strong communities. Now I'm going to talk about something important, scams happening in New Zealand. First, there are technical support scams. They scare us by saying our computer has problems and we need to pay to fix it. They are not real and they just want our money and secrets. Then there are phishing scams. Scammers send fake emails or make fake websites that look real. They want our passwords and bank details, so we need to be careful. Investment scams promise to make us rich, but they are lies. Ponzi schemes are like a house of cards that fall down and we lose our money. Some scams pretend to be the tax people. They say we owe money and threaten to take us to court or put us in jail if we don't pay. It's scary obviously, but it's not real. Online shopping scams trick us into buying things that are fake or bad quality. Sometimes they make us pay and never send anything at all. Lastly, lottery and prize scams make us think that we want something big, but to get the prize, they ask for money. It's a trick to steal from us. In New Zealand, these scams happen a lot and they hurt people and businesses. So it's important to be careful and not to fall for these tricks. Now, I would like my group member Anila to proceed further.
Thank you. Now I'm talking about the banking scams sparks debates over liability. In Auckland, there have been a troubling fraud case that affected up to 9 people, with one victim suffering a significant loss of $1 lakh. This victim believed that ANZ, their bank, should bear some responsibility for not catching this illegal transaction. ANZ, on the other hand, maintains that they have strong security measures in place and are cooperating with law enforcement to prevent fraud. They sympathize with the victims but can't share more details due to an ongoing police investigation. To catch the culprit, private detectives were hired and they discovered that the stolen money was used for everyday expenses, gambling, and shopping. Now, the victim is understandably questioning the security of the current banking system and blames ANZ for their losses. ANZ argued that while they have robust fraud prevention measures, there are limitations in matching names and account numbers within New Zealand banking system. Now I'm talking about the key financial concept. In the financial industry, fraud and scams are unfortunately quite common, and many people fall victim to these deceptive tactics. To protect consumers, banks implement banking security measures, which are precautions designed to prevent fraud and unauthorized access to account and transaction. Waiting, on the other hand, is the process of truly examining and verifying the qualification and history of individuals or organization. Sometimes victims believe that their financial losses occurs due to the bank's inadequate account verification, while the bank insists that its security and screening procedure are strengthened. Money laundering is another concern in the financial sector. It involves the process of making illegally obtaining funds known as dirty money. Banks are joining forces to combat money laundering, signifying their commitment to preventing illegal funds from entering the financial system. Furthermore, there are anti scam initiatives in place. Banks and other organizations actively engage in these programs to prevent scams and protect customers from dishonest practices. In New Zealand, for example, banks are taking additional anti scam measures such as stabilizing police investigation, public awareness. These initiatives showcase the banking sector's addictions to fighting fraud and scams, ensuring a safer financial environment for everyone. Thank you. Now I am inviting my group member Ariba to continue further.
Thanks. Let's discuss a recent scam case that occurred in the city of New Zealand, Auckland. New Zealand banks prioritize fraud prevention through key measures. Firstly, they actively participate in a national active scam center. This collaborative effort allows banks to share information and coordinate responses to emerging threats. Secondly, New Zealand banks pool their resources, both financially and technologically, to implement robust security measures. These include investing in cutting edge fraud detection system and cybersecurity infrastructure to safeguard customer accounts and data. Lastly, they prioritize public awareness. Banks in New Zealand engaged in extensive educational campaigns to inform customers about the latest scams and fraud risk. This proactive approach helps empower individuals to recognize and report suspicious activities, contributing to the overall prevention of fraud. New Zealand banks are actively engaged in key initiatives to strengthen their fraud prevention efforts. Firstly, they have implemented an account name checking service. This service cross-references account names with account numbers, ensuring that payments are directed to the correct recipients. It's a crucial step in preventing fraudulent transfers and ensuring the accuracy of transactions. Secondly, banks have taken steps to remove web links from text messages. This is proactive measure to combat phishing scams, which often use links to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information. By discouraging the use of links in text messages, banks enhance their customers' security and reduce the risk of falling victim to phishing attacks. Additionally, New Zealand banks have embraced real-time information sharing. They collaborate to share on suspicious activities and fraud incidents in real time. This rapid exchange of information allows for quicker detection and prevention of fraud as banks can collectively respond to emerging threats. Now, Alishba will continue further.
Thank you. And now we are diving into the complex world of banking scams and their far reaching impact on banks or consumers, regulators, and the economy. So, first one is banking security and responsibility. When a bank faces security issues like the ANZ Bank did, it immediately raises concerns about how safe our money is. In the short term, it raises worries about the safety of your money, making people question if they can trust that bank. But looking ahead, if these issues persist, the government might step in and demanding top notch security. This could mean banks have to spend more money on security, changing how they do business, and following new rules to keep our money safe. Now let's talk about how banks fight scams, like the anti-scam programs in New Zealand. In the short term, it's similar to having a quick response team in your town that jumps into action to keep everyone safe from trouble. You feel safer and trust in the bank goes up. But in the long term, these programs can make the whole banking world safer. Fewer scams benefit everyone. Third one is the impact on banking reputation. When a bank gets involved in a scam, it's just like a restaurant getting a bad review. Obviously, fewer people want to go there after that. Similarly, trust in the bank takes a hit in the short term, but in the long term, banks can work on fixing their image by investing in better security and teaching customers to stay safe. This effort rebuilds trust over time. Fourth one is financial losses due to scams. People who lose money to scams suffer financial hits in the short term, similar to suddenly losing your savings. But in the long term, if scams keep happening, people become afraid to invest or save, impacting the broader economy and trust in the financial system. Last one is the regulatory responses. Governments and regulators react to scams by watching banks more closely in the short term, like increasing police patrols during crime spikes. They might also impose stricter rules, but in the long term, they could create even tougher rules to prevent scams, reshaping how banks operate and keeping everyone safer. So, these are the critical aspects of banking scams, from ensuring our money's safety to preventing scams, rebuilding trust, and addressing financial losses and shaping the rules to create a safer financial landscape. Now, in the end, I will invite Aisha again to summarize and conclude this.
Thank you. So now I'm gonna summarize everything. We talked about scams, something that affects all of us. Now imagine someone falls victim to a scam where they lose money. They might feel the bank shares some blame even though bank says they have good security. There's an issue they are working on. Banks are trying to prevent fraud in a few ways. They use two-factor authentication and pop-up notification. They also tell us to use strong passwords and never share pins, or to stay alert, or to call banks before making any big transaction. In New Zealand, banks set up anti-scam center to stop scams and make us aware of them. But there is a catch. If scams keep happening, there might be stricter rules in the future. And in the short term, trust in banks could weaken. To build trust back up, there are anti-scam campaigns. They want us to feel safe, so we'll keep using banks for our finances. So what can we expect? Well, both short-term changes and long-term rules could affect how banks work. It's all about keeping our money safe and our trust intact. In conclusion, let's remember that safeguarding our financial security and trust is a shared responsibility. By staying informed, practicing safe financial habits, and working together with our banks and authorities, we can protect ourselves and our communities from the threats of scams. Thank you for your attention, and let's stay alert in the fight against fraud.